In this video, I'm going to do a tier list, a ranking of the best money-making books that I've read. So this is not the be-all, end-all list. This is just a list of books that I've read. And that's important because I've read over 2 books a week for like the last 15 years. And there's a lot of books here, man. Some of them are good, some of them are whack. But I've used a lot of this information in these books to make a lot of money. I built several businesses that have done over 8 figures. And a lot of that came from what I've learned in these books. And the reason books are so important, it seems to be a thing where I see people shitting on reading books. And I think listen, I totally disagree with that. From my perspective, maybe these guys are just smarter than me and they just knew this shit. But for me, reading the books has definitely improved my money-making prowess exponentially, because experience is the best teacher, but it doesn't have to be your experience. And any goal you want to accomplish, just somebody who did that shit and probably better than you can do it. And they wrote a book about it. They condensed all their knowledge into a book. I think not taking advantage of that will definitely work to your detriment. So here's my list. All right, we're going to rank it like this: from that shit is trash to balling out of control. So let's go through it. There's a lot of books here. I'm not the best at doing this shit, so some of them are here twice, like this one, The Psychology of Money. Let's start with this. So in Psychology of Money, the title kind of speaks for itself, as it gives you the psychology of money and it tells you how different people think about money and a lot of cognitive biases that you may have towards money or other people. And this is good information to know. I think this book is good. People seem to like it a lot more than I do. I thought it was good, but not crazy good. It wasn't like blowing my fucking mind, but maybe it's because I read this shit when I was already a multi-millionaire, right? Maybe if I read it earlier in my journey, it would have been more impactful to me. So I'm gonna put it as good. It's definitely worth the read, and I'm glad I read it. I accidentally put it in here twice in my tier list, so it's good. I'm gonna do this in no particular order. Purple Cow. All right, this is an interesting book. This is a marketing book by Seth Godin, who's an accomplished marketer, very great writer, prolific writer. And yo, on the low, this book is balling out of control. You don't hear about it a lot, but this book is amazing. So basically, the premise of this book is, he called it Purple Cow because I guess he told a story in the beginning where they were going through this field of cows and they all looked the same. If I was wanted to buy one of these cows, how would I pick? Well, if one was purple, that one would stand out and I'd get it, right? So he's talking about marketing from a perspective of product development. The way most people market, they get a product or a service, then they market it. But what he was talking about is baking the marketing into the design of the product or service and making it so unique that it stands out. So it is different than everything in the marketplace. And that's the best marketing. Instead of trying to take some regular shit and make it special, it's like not making regular shit, making shit that's actually extraordinary. And he goes into detail how to do it. And it's a super good book. And I've used the principles a variety of ways in different businesses. However, that's not to say you can't take regular shit and market it in a cool way. For example, I'm not sponsored by this company. I will take the money, white boys. If you're out there, I'll take the fucking money. But this is just water. But the way they marketed liquid death and they made it like cool, it's just fucking mountain water, right? This is a $1 billion company now selling water, you know? They did the opposite strategy. They took something regular and marketed it in a way where it's extraordinary. That works too. But if you do it from the product level, is something special about it. Millionaire Next Door. People really love this book. And I thought it was okay. I think it's because where I read it in life. I read that book in college. And it was basically talking about getting money slow and living super cheap and being super frugal and then stacking money on the side and getting and becoming a millionaire that way. And I guess that's one way to do it. However, I'm a street nigga. And so the way I was raised is you got to flex on these motherfuckers. So I'm out here buying jewelry, Richard Mille, and it's a sharp contrast to the strategy in that book. This was like, yo, slow money. Be conservative, go all the way. I had the strategy. It was more like, yo, I'm gonna get rich or die trying. I'm gonna get rich as fast as possible or die trying. So it really depends on your temperament. It's probably better than I ranked it, but for me, it was just like, That's not, I don't want to fucking clip coupons and shit to get rich. I'm not about that life. I'm gonna either be fucking broke or I'm gonna be balling. All right, you know what I'm saying? It's I had the strategy. What was it? It was either gonna be Lambos or food stamps. No in between for me. You know what I'm saying? That's how I was rolling. That being said, around the same time, I read a book called The 10X Rule. And this book is balling, man. It's the homie Grant Cardone. I read this at a time of my life where I was really struggling. I had to work really hard. And I used to wake up and listen to that shit. I used to listen to the audiobook while I was getting ready in the morning. So I wake up, man, I got this old white man yelling at me first thing in the morning, man. But what I appreciated about this book was it wasn't a get rich quick scheme. I know Grant gets a lot of flack. They say he's a scammer. They say a bunch of shit about Grant, but that's my dog. He was saying just work hard, work super hard. There's nothing get rich schemey about that. There's nothing scammy about work fucking hard. Like he's basically saying work 10 times as hard as you think you need to work to accomplish your goal. And that resonated with me because again, it was Lambos or food stamps. Right? That's the attitude I came in with. And it worked out well for me. I told Grant that when I met him. You know what I'm saying? Like that book had a big impact. Let me find a trash book. Yo, Getting Things Done by David Allen. Yo, I'm sure this has helped a lot of people. This is my list. You may have this ranked somewhere else. This may be the best book you ever read, and you're not wrong. It's all perspective. That book was trash for me. I get a lot of shit done. But he has shit like have your inbox at 0. Have your inbox at 0. I have over 200,000 unread emails, and it's all good. I'm not trying to get that shit just busy work, bro. I'm here to get money, man. Getting my inbox at 0 ain't gonna make me no money, man. Fuck that shit, but that doesn't mean it's a bad book. It was just bad for your boy. Oh, I had the psychology money a third time, so it's good. All right. Okay. Let's go. Alchemy. I might have to put it at Baldwin by Roy Sutherland. And it's a good book. As a matter of fact, I've read a bunch of books by Roy, and he just comes at marketing from a different angle. For example, I believe it's this book. I read it a long time ago, but he did a study on Beats headphones. Now, before Apple bought Beats by Dre, they had a reputation amongst audio engineers as being like kind of bad headphones. They didn't sound good, but people thought they sounded good. For example, so they did a blind hearing test where they put headphones on people and they played different headphones, and every time they did it blind, people ranked Beats by Dre as the worst sounding headphones. And when they can see the headphones, it always ranked the top because people believed it was better. They really believed it was better. Basically, he talks about how marketing actually shifts your experience. Kind of like the placebo effect is real if it's real, And then they also did different taste tests with Coke and Pepsi, and they would like Coke drink people who like Coke better than Pepsi. They would have them drink it, and they would study their brain waves, and the parts of the brain that signal enjoyment would light up when they drank the Coke, but not so much when they drank the Pepsi. But then they gave them blind taste tests, and they would like lie to them and tell them that the Pepsi was Coke, and then they liked it as much, and the same parts of their brains would light up in that book. I mean, in the studies, meaning because they thought something, they actually really felt it, like it was real. And he just talks about that from a marketing perspective of how you can implement that into your experience. I got a few books on here twice. There's a book called The Creative Mind and Success. I'm not going to talk about it because it's a weird book, but it's balling out of control. Here's my copy of it. As you see how much I read it. This shit looked like an artifact. I had to fucking tape this shit back together. And I read this copy of the book back when I was working like 12 hours a day. I would wake up early in the morning, take the train from Queens to Harlem, and I would read this book over and over again. I found it super helpful. Be Your Own Banker. This is about infinite banking, how to have your own like infinite banking, set up your own life insurance shit. It's a really cool strategy. It's okay, but it's not for everybody. I'll Teach You to Be Rich by the Indian guy whose name escapes me. It was okay. It's good, man. It's like that slow money shit. You know what I'm saying? Like he's telling you to save money, and the more conservative amongst you will really enjoy that book and probably get a lot of enjoyment out of it. Me, it was Lambos or food stamps, bro. I was either going to get rich or go be broke as fuck. The more conservative amongst you will enjoy that book. The less ostentatious among you would like that book as well. Millionaire Mind. This book is good. Nima says he loves it. I thought it was good, but I read it when I was a teenager, so I don't really remember it enough to put it higher than that. Let's go to homie Alex Hermosi's $100 million offer. This is balling. Alex is the homie, man. It's a funny story. So when I met Alex like before he was famous and shit, and when I got my first ClickFunnels awards for getting $1 million, I made myself last in the line. I got in line, I made myself last, and I was wearing a fucking tank top and some Jordans. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna stand out. Everybody's gonna remember me, I'm last. And then right after that, Russell Brunson announced a new award for $10 million with one funnel. I'm like, fuck. I thought this was my time to shine. I thought I was gonna be the man. And then Alex got that award. I was like, fuck. This was before he was famous at all. This might have been like 2017. And I was like obsessed with him, right? Like my mentor was running his ads at one point. My mentor, Kevin Hodo, was running his ads. So like I would ask, man, tell me more about Alex. I was like obsessed. And then the first time I met him, we was on the phone, we was working on something together. It might have been, you know what? It was New Year's Day. This motherfucker was working on New Year's Day. New Year's Day 2018, I think. And he was like, yo, and he asked, we worked on something. He said, how much money you make last year? I said, I made about $2.5 million through my different businesses. He said, yeah, you know, I made $35 million last year. And I was like, I feel like a bitch. And then my obsession grew even more. I finally got that award. You know what I'm saying? And then he still got more money. But I'm super rich. But Hermosi, he breaks down a lot of his tactics in there. I think that book is balling. All right. Millionaire Mind. I had it. Yo, this is good. It's good. It's good. Yo, the 1 minute salesman is balling. It's one of the very first sales books I ever read. It was between my freshman and sophomore year of college. I had a sales internship with Abbott Laboratories. Abbott Laboratories is a Fortune 500 pharmaceutical company, huge company. And I would ride around with the sales managers. I asked him what books he recommended on sales, and this was the only one he recommended, and I really liked it. That shit is baller. Okay, Art of the Start by Guy Kiyosaki. Listen, this book is probably good, but I don't remember it at all. I read it in my early 20s, so because I don't remember it all, it couldn't have had that big of an impact, so I'm putting it in trash. Tony Robbins, Money in his money book. Yo, I read this shit not long ago. I mean, I don't know. I had to put it in trash because it just didn't have an impact on me. But some people think it's the fucking best book they ever read. So just keep that in mind. But I'm not here to shit on Tony. His book, Awaken the Giant Within, I read this when I was 17 and it changed my whole life. I wouldn't be where I am without this book. This book is balling out of control. Honestly, people shit on Tony Robbins. They have not read that book. If you say anything bad about Tony, it's because you have not read that book. It's fucking required reading for people in my life. I may have given that book away more than any other book. It's balling out of control. I'm a different person without that book. I can't even go into why it's so good. It just changed the way I looked at life, the way I look at everything, you know. Just Keep Buying. This was an investment book. I think it was trash. I just don't remember. If I don't remember it, I got to put it in the trash pile. You know what I'm saying? The One Thing. This book is balling. So basically, he basically says just to simplify your life, focus on one thing. A big mistake I see with entrepreneurs is they start multiple different businesses as soon as they get one successful. And I made that same mistake too. And it was that same year I was talking to Hermosi. I was making like $2.5 million between like a bunch of different businesses. And after that conversation, I went back to reading this book because I had read it before. And then I went back to it and I said, you know what? I shut down all my businesses, had an exit and some other things. And I just focused on one main business. I still made investments and maybe I would invest in other businesses that other people ran, but I only ran one business and my income doubled the first year. And it was like, oh, fuck. That's where I was fucking up. You know what I'm saying? High Performance Habits by Brendan Broussard. I got some rich friends who really like this book more than I like it. But for me, I just put it in okay. Scrum, The Art of Doing Twice the Work in Half the Time. This book is very good. And it's not very helpful for you unless you have an organization. Like if you don't have employees or you're not in a management position, then you won't find it very useful. Buy Back Your Time. This is written by my dog, Dan something. I forget. This is the homie Dan. I just call him Dan, but I forget his last name. This book is balling because he talks about a lot of the stuff that I talk about. He articulated it a little better than me as far as buying back your time, paying people to do things for you. Like I get a lot of flack on the internet because I say, oh man, I pay people to clean, I pay people to cook, I pay people to do certain things so I can buy back my time and I can use that time. A lot of people like shit on me on the internet for that. But I guess when some white man says do it, it's okay, right? So, but he in everyone's defense, he did articulate it a lot better than I did. It's a super good book, super good book. Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Man, I thought this book was okay. Some people like it better than others than me, but I just thought it was okay. And maybe it's because I compared it to his first book, Influence, which I think, you know, maybe it's just the curse of the sequel, but Influence was balling out of control. I read this book once a month. Real shit. For years, I've been reading this book once a month. And if you are in marketing in any capacity, read that book, not just once, over and over again. Like keep it. It's basically like every book in Balling Out of Control, except for maybe Purple Cow, because you get it after the first time you read it, you got it. But these other books I read over and over again, right? And none more than Influence. So Persuasion, I probably would have liked it better if I wasn't so obsessed with Influence. Laws of Human Nature by the homie Robert Greene. This book is good, and I would like to have. I wish I could rank it higher because Robert sent me a fucking signed copy of that, autographed copy of that book. I have it. He sent it directly to me. I wish I can rank it higher, but I think it just suffers the same problems as Persuasion. Is because his other book, Power, is balling out of control. Right, the 48 Laws of Power is one of the best books I ever read, and I think it's because I'm comparing it to that. If I didn't read this first, I'd probably put it higher, you know. But Robert Greene is like one of my favorite authors. Let's go. So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport. This is really good. It's good. It basically talks about building your skills so good that it's just undeniable. Like if you're really good at something, you're gonna make money. You're gonna be fine. You know what I'm saying? He talks about how to do that. Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. It's balling out of control. So Chris Voss is FBI hostage negotiator, and this book is all about negotiation, and it's the best book on the subject. Yeah, and he has a class on that shit. Master class is really good. You know, I basically had all my salespeople go through it. It's like one of the only trainings I had them go through. Way of the Wolf by the homie, one of my mentors. This book is good. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's good. It's good. It's good. I want to like it more, but it's good. Cialdini co-wrote this book. It's a negotiation book. It's good. It's fine. It's fine. You know what I'm saying? Principles by the homie Ray Dalio. Balling Out of Control. Fucking fantastic book. Ray Dalio is one of the richest men in the world. Billionaire, and his principles are the principles that he used to get there. And he talks about how to make your own principles. This is just a fantastic book. I've read it multiple times. I have friends who are multimillionaires who tell me that that's their favorite book. My favorite book, one of them, top 5, Relentless by Tim Grover. Tim Grover was a trainer for Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and D Wade and others. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I like it so much. I have it tattooed on my arm, like Relentless. You know what I'm saying? Just it really had a huge impact on me. I think before I read that book, there were people in my life telling me, you work too hard. You need to chill, man. You're doing too much. And I started thinking, man, what's wrong? Maybe something's wrong with me. Maybe I am obsessed. Maybe I have a problem. Maybe I need to relax. And then I read the book and I was like, oh, nah, this is what's required. And it kind of allowed me to take my foot off the brakes and turn the knob all the way to 11 and rip the knob off. And I've been making more money every year ever since. And then he has another book, Winning, which is like the sequel. And this book is balling, man. Winning is a better written book. It's a better book by the numbers. Like, it's written better, but Relentless has a better message. Richest Man in Babylon. Everybody loves this book. I think it's okay. Everybody loves it. Listen, it ain't hit me like that. Better, Faster, Stronger. It's okay. Let's go. Gary Vaynerchuk's Jab, Right Hook. It's okay, man. I get it. It's one of those books that had a good message that didn't need to be a whole book. You know what I'm saying? And I fucks with Gary. In fact, Crush It. Okay. When I read Crush It, it was baller. I don't know if I would rank it now, but it came at the perfect time for me. Is when I was first started going on social media. I read this book first and I said, oh, okay, just go super hard. That plus the 10X rules, like how I started. But if I was to read it now, I don't think it would rank there, just because it's antiquated, right? Like, you know, Instagram didn't exist back then. You know, it's just antiquated, but it's good. Yo, on the low, here's a book that you might not know about. It's called The Gold Standard, and it's written by the character of Ari Gold from the show Entourage. It's written by the character, so it's like a fake book. But it's actually fucking good. It's like good business advice, man. And it's funny. It's dope. Get the audiobook because he actually reads it as the character, Ari Gold. Listen, I'm not going to talk about this much. But Money and the Law of Attraction by Abraham Hicks. I'm not going to say anything about it. Just know I listened to that book a little bit every day for 15 years, even to this day. I'm not going to say anything else about it because it's too weird. Just know that, and I'm going to just leave that there. This is Marketing by Seth Godin. Baller, man. It's just, I can't even really describe why it's so good. The way Seth thinks about marketing, he's a fucking genius. He's just a fucking genius. He's probably one of my marketing role models. All right, so definitely, I got to put that there. Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. That's baller. It's a really good marketing and copywriting book. It's a copywriting book masquerading as a marketing book. It's super good, you know. But maybe my favorite copywriting book is The Ultimate Sales Letter. This is balling out of control. The Ultimate Sales Letter. If you want a good copywriting book, The Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy, man, that shit is balling out of control. There's a book called The Status Game. I don't want to explain it to you. It's super good. It's balling. It's basically just about status. There's 4 types of products or service. There's like trinkets or bullshit, and people buy that based off like impulse, right? They might see an ad and they'll buy it. Cool, that's impulse. Then there's like commodities, toothpaste, deodorant, you know what I'm saying, water. People typically buy that shit off price, right? It's so common, you can get it anywhere. They just pick all of it's pretty good. You're not gonna buy some bad toothpaste, you know, all deodorant will work. Then there's necessities. These are things you have to have, like, you know, you have to have shelter, you have to have food, you have to have if the doctor says you need a backiotomy, right, you're gonna get the backiotomy, or you're just gonna have a bad back, and it's just necessity. You get it. Then there's luxuries. Luxuries are bought off status only. You know, sometimes when I you know, I got all these fancy watches and I'll see a post. Somebody says, man, I can just use my phone to tell time. You can say that about anything. Like women like expensive bags and different bags. You could just carry all your makeup in a fucking grocery bag, right? Like, you know, you can say that about anything. Man, why you buying those Nike sneakers, man? You could just walk barefooted. Like you can say that about anything. Status drives decisions. Now, here's the thing. There's a certain group of people who say this, that they don't make, man, I don't think about status. I do shit only I like. And they're very vocal about that. That status too. It's a different kind of status. It's like saying, oh, I'm above that. I don't care what people think. The person who says he doesn't care what people think cares the most. He's playing a status game. He's just playing a different status game. And this book goes into way more detail about how status runs the world. And there's an evolutionary argument for that, because historically, throughout human history, the person with the most status is the person who's more likely to survive and pass his genes on. Think about like a tribal thing, right? Who's going to get the healthiest? Who's going to have sex with and mate with the healthiest woman, like in old tribes? Not the nigga with the lowest status in the tribe, the nigga with the highest status, right? And you may get status different ways. Like maybe he can hunt, maybe he could hunt real good, or he can get the most fucking coconuts from a tree. You know what I'm saying? Or he had the most resources. And it's not even just humans. It's like all primates have hierarchies, status hierarchy. We're all playing a game. We may be playing it different ways. You know, and this book goes into way more detail about it. And the thing about this book is once you read it, you won't be able to unsee it. You'll see it in everything. And you may think, oh, you only see that in big cities where people are flexing. No. You see it in the suburbs too. You know, so some status may be like some woman who's trying to be the best mom and show that she's the best mom. Or maybe she's getting status from her kids getting the best grades or going to the best schools. Or like I know a lot of kids who grew up in Asian households and they got the status from their kids becoming doctors or something. Like everybody's playing the status game, whether you know it or not. And it's better if you know the different status games that people are playing, and then you just see the world different. Like you have a cheat code to the world. Speaking of evolutionary psychology by Dr. David Buss. When you start to see things through this lens, things start to make a lot more sense. Things start to like become super simple once you see things from that lens. You know what I'm saying? All the books are in the description and links to them too. Make sure you check that out. Another good copywriting book, The Born Letters. This is good. This is expert copywriter, really good. Secrets of the Written Word. This is a really good copywriting book. 80-20 Sales and Marketing. This book is baller. I don't have time to go into it, but just know it's baller. Deep Work by Cal Newport. Right, this book is in like my top 10 list of books I've ever read, and I have whole videos on that book if you want to check it out. But learning what Cal teaches in that book has made me millions of dollars without exaggeration. Expert Secrets. This is ballin' because I put it in here twice. The One Sentence Persuasion Course. It's real small book on marketing and persuasion, and it's baller. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you should read the book. Rocket Fuel. This book is really good. This is a good book for entrepreneurs to read. I don't want to give it away. Why? But if you're an entrepreneur, there's a secret in it. There's something you need for Rocket Fuel to really blow up your organization. And without it, it's going to be difficult. You know what I'm saying? The E-Myth. This book is balling. This book is about how to actually scale your organization so you get to the point where you're working on your business and not in your business. Well, How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is balling out of control. This is my favorite book of all time. I think it should be taught in high schools. I think it should be required reading. The Compound Effect. This book is balling out of control. So basically, this book is fucking deep. It's the best book I read last year. And I read like over 100 books last year. And it was the best one. And it's basically about how our expectations change our experience. And it's all studies. It's all studies that show that it's academic studies that actually back up a lot of law of attraction type shit. And some of this shit is like really blew my mind. And I had to go really read the studies that he references. I was like, no way, this is bullshit. And I went and read the studies. I was like, fuck, it's real. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, balling out of control. Balling out of control. One of Napoleon Hill's best books. I have a whole video on this. The Cashflow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. This is a good book. Hustle Hard, Hustle Smart. Yo, this is actually a good book, man, by 50 Cent, man. It's actually a good book. Discipline by Jocko. This book is good. It's not the best book on discipline, but it's really good. Never Split the Difference, man. It's balling. Yo, Courage by Osho. I have a whole book on it, and he just talks about how to be more courageous, right? You don't, like, a lot of people say, how do I get rid of fear? Now, you don't need less fear. You need more courage, baby. It's balling out of control. I have a whole video on that book, man. You know, my favorite thing about Osho is he was like a spiritual leader, but he also had over 20 Rolls Royces. That's the kind of spiritual leader I want leading my tribe. Some of these books are repeats. 4 Hour Work Week. This book is really good, but it's antiquated now. Like, I would have had it hired 15 years ago when I read it. Anything by Dave Ramsey, trash. And for me, because again, I'm not trying to do this shit slow, man. It is Lambos or food stamps. Rich Dad Poor Dad, balling out of control. This really set me on the right path. Made in America by Sam Walton. This guy was one of the richest men in the world, man. Big Wally. This shit is balling, man. Like, for real shit. Man, this shit is balling. Some of these are repeats. The Intelligent Investor, it's good. Good to Great, it's good. Not great. Profit First, balling out of control, bro. I would not be rich if I didn't read this. Like, this shit has saved me a lot. The Road Less Stupid, I have a whole video on this. This book is balling, really good. Blue Ocean Strategy, I don't want to get into it. It's good. Some people like it more than me. It's all good. Zero to None by Peter Thiel. I just think it's okay, man. I fuck with Peter, but pause. But it's just good. Yo, Pitch Anything. One of the best sales books I ever read. I read it over 100 times. No bullshit. Pitch Anything is balling out of control. The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. Balling. One of the best sales books I read. The Immutable Laws of Marketing. I have a video on this. This is balling out of control. When it comes to marketing, that book, You Need More Money by some guy. This is good. The Story of the Made Up Thing. This book is actually really good. You know what I'm saying? It won't help you with nothing, but it's good to understand. Poor Charlie's Almanac. This is written Charlie Munger. Cognitive Biases. These are that's balling. Advertising Headlines That'll Make You Rich. This is a good book, man. It's a good book for copywriting. Getting Rich. This dude is super, I forget his name, but it's good. Think and Grow Rich. It's balling, man. Some people think it's balling out of control, but there's a few books here that are along the same lines that I like better. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm not there. Trading in the Zone. It's a book about trading, but these principles can be applied to anything in life. This is baller. The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker. Baller. Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Baller. Built to Sell, good. Lean Startup, good. And I think I already talked about these 3 already. So that's my list. You may have these books ranked in different positions, and I might have had them ranked in different positions had I came across these books at different points in my life. They may have been more impactful or less impactful if I read them in different times. So take that all into account. However, odds are I've read more books than you and probably anyone you know. So when I make a list, it's actually like meaningful. And I did the shit. Like, I made fucking millions, right? So when I make a list, it's serious. Check these books out. All the links are in the description. And if you want to see my top 50 books of all time that are not just money making, just books, I have a video on that too. Check that out.